ha Ghana so news edika ekoba ewo omanwenu na yekọ na papa na asem so na ye di abre ahwefo na muhu na mate nsem yekoso ene de eba ewo omanwenu na emu ne nsem ne bo na se ebeto dwa mu eyedu hise mu efrem se ya ebe de betena se na akaka de yezu yepe edi amamunti ne de so mamu bekọ ahotie nsem yekoso ene de eba ewo omanwenu.
Monetary Fund, IMF, has slammed Ghana's economic management, citing reckless pre-election spending and reform delays in late 2024 under the Akufo-Addo-led administration as reasons for derailing the $3 billion bailout program. This mishap has halted the disbursement of hundreds of millions in support, prompting the new government to take urgent corrective measures. The IMF warned that Ghana's only way out to avoid economic collapse is to strictly adhere to the program's requirement, directing implications the previous administration was supposed to go through, and the finance minister, Amin Adam, for overspending and inflation woes that derailed the bailout. Well, lead researcher with the Joy News team, Isaac Ofeje, joins me in the studio as we look at some of the details from this. Kofi, I appreciate your time. This is not the first time it is happening. Based on the details we have, we know that this happened some far back as 2023, based on our data. Tell us more about it.
Well, so this is what the IMF is saying. That is the verdict. But let's look at the various promises and commitments that the previous administration made. Now, we start from 2023 November, where Abena Osei-Asare, who was the deputy finance minister to Kenneth Ofori-Atta, told parliamentarians when she was addressing parliament that they were very confident that government was not going to overspend in the 2024 budget. This was when the 2024 budget had been read, and she insisted that going into that year, there were fears that government was going to overspend. But she believed that government had what it takes to not overspend in 2024. This is what she said.
Governments have used election year as auctioning periods, engaging in all kinds of projects to win votes. But this government is committing itself to strong fiscal consolidation and efficient management of existing commitments in order not to derail the hard-won stability that we are witnessing. Mr. Speaker, as part of this commitment, government is not initiating new commercial loan-funded projects. And so when you check Appendix 10C, where we usually have commercial loan-funded projects, that place is blank. This tells you government is really committed to living within its means.
I'm now Osei-Asare there, but she's not the only one, right? Kofi?
Absolutely. The former finance minister himself, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, made two promises. We'll start with the first one, which he made to the IMF boss herself. And he said that, look, he was also very confident that going into the election year, government was not going to, overspend. Remember that the IMF boss, actually visited Ghana in March 2024. And she was very, very particular about election-related expenditure because they've seen it before. Ghana has been to the fund for 17 times. They say 18. So they know the template and they know how we derail when we get to election year. But this was the assurance from the former finance minister.
We are committed, ladies and gentlemen, to sustaining our macroeconomic policy adjustment and reforms to fully restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, while fostering a sustainable increase in economic growth and poverty reduction. Despite the fact that 2024 is an election year, we are committed to enhancing domestic revenue mobilization and tightening expenditure commitment controls to avoid policy slippages. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to also report significant progress in our debt restructuring efforts, which began in 2022.
For any for some I so any day about our money more can any and I was so a good out team. Measure pants with now so I enjoy our for and some who now jar fair Eddie and Mammy our comment section hall. Young Quay, you could see any at so.
Our debt exchange offers have resulted in a substantial reduction of our debt burden and an extension of our repayment period when the agreements we have reached are implemented.
Finance Minister, former Finance Minister, I beg your pardon, Dr. Amin Adam there. And then there was a response from the IMF. I'm quite interested in what exactly they said.
Well, so the IMF were pleased. I mean, when government begins to make such commitments, they will be happy. And I remember Stefan Rode in December 2024 actually welcoming this, commitment by government, because the fear of the fund was that, look, we've been practicing or we've been having the program for more than a year and it's been smooth so far. We do not want you to use election-related expenditures to derail the program. And so the IMF actually welcomed this commitment, and here's what Stefan Rode had to say.
Inflation is declining rapidly from 54% in December 2022 to 23% in May 2024. And Ghana's international reserves have been increasing. Looking ahead, staying the course by adhering to the committed policy and reform agenda remains essential to fully restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, especially in the context of the upcoming general elections. We welcome the commitment from Minister Adam and various other government officials to stay the course on reforms.
Well, there's more on this, Kofi, and the current finance minister has been responding as well.
Absolutely. And before that, I mean, those were the commitments we had from the previous administration. Now, some 6 months down the line or 7 months down the line, the IMF is in with a verdict. Those were the commitments. What is the IMF's verdict? The IMF's verdict is that if you look at the current program that we are running, what they say is that the program performance has faces what deteriorated market, has actually deteriorated at the market end of 2024. What the IMF is basically saying is that there were two factors that actually caused some of these slippages. First one is pre-election fiscal slippages, talking about election-related expenditures and inflation above program target. And remember, the first person to give this indication was the finance minister, Dr. Kassiola Toforsen, who said that if you look at the current IMF program that we are currently running, there was a high probability that we were going to miss some of the benchmarks in the fourth review. He mentioned inflation, he mentioned the balance of payments, he mentioned so many other things that he felt that were actually not on the tangent that the IMF really wanted us to be on. But the big promise was from the finance minister himself, the former finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, who told the IMF boss when she came to Ghana that you don't have to worry. We are very, very committed and we believe that we can stay on course. But the verdict we are getting this evening, per the data that we have seen from the IMF latest review, is that government could not go by this commitment or this promise they made to the IMF. And the IMF is currently saying that there are not just, slippages, but what they call large slippages. They call it large policy slippages. And this is not the first time we've been here. And so that's the reason why you could understand why the fund was really, really worried coming into the year of 2024 being an election year. But it's the verdict we are getting that government actually had large policy slippages in the dying embers of 2024 for state.
Interesting data we have there. And we will be exploring the implications, especially for the economy, Kofi, because this is key. And this would actually impact how the IMF deals with the country moving forward. Well, it's a good time to bring in an economist as we look at how this will impact our economy.
We are witnessing. Mr. Speaker, as part of this commitment, government is not initiating new commercial loan-funded projects. And so when you check Appendix 10C, where we usually have commercial loan-funded projects, that place is blank. This tells you government is really committed to living within its means.
I'm not saying sorry there, but she's not the only one, right, Kofi?
Absolutely. The former finance minister himself, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, made two promises. We'll start with the first one, which he made to the IMF boss herself. And he said that, look, he was also very confident that going into the election year, government was not going to, overspend. Remember that the
anything for her and I'm from Missy if was a seminal show and not your friend, her egg and a tip some